And we are live. Thank you for joining me again on another wonderful Monday. We are here for Monday Messages, where we seek weekly guidance from the tarot and from Spirit. And this week, we're going to discuss our card for the week and wrap up this month. This month of the queenly energy of the Queen of Swords. So let's get right to it. And after we do that, we'll offers up some individual mini readings for everyone if they would like. So we begin our evening with a quick recap. If I can find my screen, apologize. There. So our card for February was the Queen of Swords, and we talked a lot about this at length already this month, but we're wrapping that up. And in our monthly reading, we pulled the Two of Swords for this week. And that's really what we'll discuss tonight. We are wrapping up this month, and we are really taking the throne of the Queen of Swords, if you will, and taking our throne and stepping into the influence and wisdom and guidance that we have and we are able to provide for others. And in doing so, we are really building our team and finding our tribe for this year so that we can move forward with the people and support that we need to manifest all of our higher desires and goals. So we have the Two of Swords this week, and the Two of Swords is a really interesting card. We have some interesting energies going on here surrounding this card. There's some big astrological implications with this as well. So the Two of Swords is the swords is an air sign, or the suit of swords is the element of air, and the Two of Swords specifically corresponds to Libra, the astrological sign of Libra, which is Libras are a sign of intellect and communication and balance. And this comes from the fact that Libra, the house Libra, is ruled by Venus. And the planetary energy of Venus is one of beauty and harmony, as well as relationships and values, and also very fittingly, love, given that we have our Valentine's holiday this month. So we've already talked a bit about that in last week's guidance, but this really comes through in the Two of Swords here, and is also impacted by other planetary energies as well. So the Two of Swords has correspondencies to the moon as well, much like last week's card. And the moon is really this card about the inner intuition and deeper, more hidden feelings that we have in life. And so these two things play together. And so for one, we have Libra seeking balance, sort of playing out the energy of Venus by trying to create beauty through harmony and balance in the world through the resolution of conflicts. And then we have the moon energy also impacting on this, and perhaps creating sometimes some avoidance of conflicts. And so from all of that, we really get the meaning and the imagery of the Two of Swords. And we can look at the picture of this card and see here, this woman is seated, blindfolded. She has this body of water behind her, and in tarot, the element of water is associated with cups and emotions. So we can sort of derive some meaning from the image here, showing that she is sort of has her emotions behind her. They are sort of suppressed. Um, we see the moon here as well. So there's the moon energy, and she's holding these two swords. So we really can see this card to have meaning of conflict, difficult decisions at times. And it is a reminder that we, have the ability to handle and deal with conflict effectively, but also to remind us that we might be a bit avoidant with our conflicts in our lives. Um, and that can be a big trait for people who are especially their sun sign is Libra. And again, correct me if I am wrong. I'm not the greatest astrologer in the world, but that's a lot of the meaning of this card here. It's always an indicator to us to think about how we're handling conflicts in our lives, how we're handling our own internal conflicts. That's a big part of the moon and goddess energy here. Also, how we mediate external conflicts between others or ourselves and others. And that's a big role of any queen, but especially the Queen of Swords. So this is really the perfect card to wrap up this week, I think. And it certainly has provides us with some guidance here to really assess the ongoing conflicts in our lives, to think about how we deal with conflict. Are we the type of person who more tends towards avoiding conflict because it is uncomfortable? Are we the type of person who likes to instigate conflict? And that may seem less preferable to a lot of people, but there are some of us who really sort of crave that for various reasons. So these are some interesting questions to reflect on going into this week. And how that shakes out for you is really going to vary. It's easy to see this as sort of the avoidant thing with the imagery of the blindfold here on the woman. But again, we can be blind to the fact that we actually crave or like to instigate conflicts. Some of us in the world are sort of more puckish, if you will, or rapscallious. It's a great word, a big SAT word, but we have to assess these things within ourselves. And sometimes the avoidance of a conflict or staying back from conflicts are the best way to deal with them. And sometimes it's better to engage more. And we have to really think mindfully about that because it's going to be something, it's an important skill to have. Again, as we engage with our team, with our tribe of people here, in trying to build great things for ourselves and make our our wishes become fulfilled. That's a big part of our leadership in the world, not just in the broader world or in the workplace, but especially in our families and even amongst friends. It's very key in how people respond to you and how you will be able to gain the support that you need from others. So it is a very sort of fascinating card that we do see a lot recently in a number of readings I've done privately for folks. And for me, I've had a bit of a brush with conflict, and it actually exposes some very interesting things. And so I'll talk a bit about this from my perspective and my recent experiences. And I hope that this helps to get you thinking a bit about the conflicts in your life and how you deal with them, how you feel about them. Because dealing with conflict is not really about the absence of conflict. People who very who deal with these things well, and who are especially really great leaders, they do not shy away from it, and so they deal with these things wisely instead of just completely avoiding them altogether. But again, we can be too heavy-handed. Sometimes we can act too quickly, act out of sort of immediate emotional responses that might not always be the wisest sort of move. So I had a interesting experience this week with conflict. I At the end of this past week, so on Saturday, I made a post in a local Facebook group that is for it's a local sort of ongoing type group for my city, my nearby the city adjacent to me actually. So it's one of those types of Facebook groups where we all post events and ongoings and discussion about the local community. And this is the city that I actually go and I read. I appear live every week reading tarot cards at one of the local gem shops. It's a crystal shop with a lot of wonderful products. So I'm there every Sunday. And every Saturday is the day we're allowed to post our small business posts promoting our businesses. So I always put a post up saying, "Hey, I'm here offering tarot readings from 2 to 6, and please stop by," and all that. And my little plug for what I do to help drive some traffic and interest into the store. And typically I make a post like that every week, and I don't get a lot of response. I'll get a few likes and maybe a laugh react and that sort of thing here and there. And I keep doing it because I do believe that it will grow, and eventually it will catch on more, especially as my following on Facebook grows. But this week I got a very big response, and not all of it was positive. So I posted, it was Saturday morning. I was getting ready to go to my day job, and I made the post. And about 20 minutes later, I'm done packing and I'm in the car, before I'm about to pull out. And I look at the notifications, and sure enough, I see the first response is something along the lines of, um, I would say, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, but I hope that you come to God's light and see the error of your ways, and stop speaking these untruths, or something like that. And it wasn't really nasty, I would say. It was, but it was certainly along those sorts of lines, as if to say that, what I'm doing and promoting is sinful and against God and these sorts of things. And then essentially I shouldn't be doing it. Um, and I've been somewhat prepared mentally for something like this to happen. Um, it is a bit unsettling to me. I am a fairly thick-skinned person, so I kind of, part of me wasn't too shocked to see it. And also immediately, again, within that 20 minutes, a number of people replied to that initial reply. Um, and some of them were even sort of nastier towards this person, to say, "Hey, you're just this ridiculous, um, sort of Bible thumper type person," and all this sort of stuff. And they started to pile on very quickly, which I am grateful that people in the community stood up to support me in that sense. I think they might have been a little harsh themselves in their judgments, because this person wasn't, threatening anything towards me or anything like that. But I was a little bit surprised. I certainly wasn't really hurt by it. And part of me was actually kind of thrilled at the idea that I drew such a response. I live in a community that's very open to all the different modalities, sort of holistic modalities of healing. We have all sorts of holistic fairs. There's obviously, there's yoga studios everywhere, but we have a preponderance of Reiki healers, Reiki practitioners, um, somatic healing coaches, all kinds of life coaches, all sorts of psychics who working in all manner of mediums, from tarot to Akashic records and just direct mediumship. And many people combine all these things to offer healing to others. It's really a great place to be if you're working in this space. And so we have that. And so I wasn't, again, feeling too threatened. Um, but we also have a lot of very more mainline Christians here as well. That is a big chunk of the populace. We have many very large churches of many denominations of Christianity, as well as a fair number of Muslims and people of other religions as well. So it is a melting pot, but it was nice to get an outpouring, but to get back to what I was saying, is that part of me sort of craves conflict in certain capacities. And this goes back to a lot of my own life experiences in childhood and such. So part of me really gets excited when supposed authorities tell me that, what I'm doing is not the greatest thing. Within some reason and some amount of moral compass, I would say. I don't believe that every single thing that we deem illegal should be legal. Um, I do believe in fundamental decency towards other people, and we shouldn't be causing direct harm to others. stealing each other's stuff and those sorts of things. So, I'm not completely without any moral compass, but I do, when it comes to things that like this, where, I don't see and think most sane people agree, there's not a lot of real harm in what I'm doing here, or potential for harm. I'm providing a great deal of service to people. I've had many wonderful readings for folks, and they've gotten quite a bit out of it. And at the end of the day, it is transactional, so people do pay for my readings most of the time, but not always. And when they do, they certainly get the reading that I promised them in terms of it being a reading, the amount of time and detail and caring and compassion that I purport to put into this. And so, in that sense, I would say that I am very honest with my business. Um, there are these broader ideas that this is generally a scam, that it's hoo-ha and that sort of thing. And so that's a lot of what started to be expressed in this thread, in this post. And so um, after a few hours, I had probably 25, 30 reactions, mostly people like and love reacting, a few laughing reacts. And at some point, this person, actually, the original respondent, took her post down. Um, and another person came in and posted just flat out just scam. That's all they wrote. Scam. And so again, a whole bunch of people sort of jumped to my side. I found it kind of exciting, honestly. Um, and when challenged, this person started to expound upon the fact that of the known origins of tarot go back to about the 1400s. That this was originally it came about as basically a game. It's a fancy card game, in a sense, from which sort of more modern playing cards that we play games in modern times with sort of evolved from, being that it has four suits and all of that. And back in the 1400s, some people adopted the fortune telling sort of and divinatory aspects of it as a way to essentially scam money from the wealthy. And they were saying that that's all this really is and ever could be. And they went on to say that, as it progressed into the 18 and 1900s, it became a tool of the occult and that sort of thing. And so um, their objections weren't really along the lines of any sort of religious morality, but more like, this is generally just scamming people. It has no real benefit to others. Um, and I sort of reveled in that because personally, I knew that all of these reactions and comments and stuff would only drive my post and cause Facebook to push it out to more people. And sure enough, over the course of that day, I started getting people commenting, "Hey, can I get a reading?" And all this. There's all this great support that came out, and even as of the recording of this, people are still commenting back and forth about this on Facebook. It's quite wild. Um, but it exposed some interesting bits of, around the Two of Swords and conflict in my life and how I deal with it. Because generally, as a person, I do shy away from a lot of conflict throughout my life. I struggled a lot with setting boundaries. And this is the other big part of understanding how you deal with conflicts is, this is a big this ties directly into your ability or sometimes inability to set boundaries and to do that in healthy ways. And it is essential to set boundaries in your life, to have a healthy and happy life. You have to be able to do that. And something a lot of us struggle with, especially empathic and highly sensitive people. Again, going back to last week's reading with the Three of Cups and the monthly card of the Queen of Swords. So it illustrates all those things, and it made me really think about and realize that I am generally very avoidant about conflict in a lot of cases. There are a lot of times where I won't advocate for myself or establish boundaries because I don't want to get into or cause a conflict. But that there is a smaller, more inward part of myself that really does sort of, again, revel in these sort of conflicts. I am someone who does sort of like to poke the bear at times, especially, like I said, when it comes to things that are sort of fringe and more in a gray um, uh, you know I don't consider myself amoral, but When it comes to something like this, magic's not real. You can't tell fortunes, and divination is hoo-ha, if you will. Um, when I run into skeptics in this line of work, I get excited. I have to pull myself back a bit because I will try to challenge those people. I have had other people sort of say that to me in fairly casual ways when I've been out and about giving readings in public, and part of me just wants to be like, all right, well, sit down. If you don't believe in this, I'll prove it to you. Sit down, no charge or anything. I will tell you something about yourself that I couldn't possibly know, and I will make you a believer. Um, and I have to check that. So that's what this card is all about. This is the whole reflection for this week. Um, and so for me, I do have to check myself in that because you can sort of dig a hole doing that, and it's just not the way to go about it. Um, the people who find value in this find value in it because they have some belief in it. They might be somewhat skeptical or just curious and wonder at first. They may not have a lot of experience with tarot readings or any of these types of things, but some part of them has a sense that it could have some value to them. And as long as they have the smallest bit of that when they sit down with me, they almost always get something really great out of it, and leave in a better place than they were with a better understanding of themselves. So that was the whole sort of conflict thing that came up with this card this week, and it just made sort of perfect fodder for our discussion and our guidance. So I would challenge everyone this week to do that reflection, and really think about some of the conflicts in your life that are actively going on, and just really try to embrace that a bit. And I'm happy to have discussions with you about these things. It's something we can explore through readings, especially through mini readings or even full on readings. So I think that pretty much wraps up our guidance for this week. And next week, we will do our new monthly reading for the month of March.